Assess. Evaluate or estimate the nature, ability, or quality of. The Department for Business has set up a task force to assess the possible impact of the decision. Unfortunately, it will take years to assess the true value of the hurricane's destructive effect on Haiti. Boost. Help or encourage something to increase or improve. Tea offers a quick energy boost due to the caffeine that naturally occurs in the leaves. Farmer Joe began using a new fertilizer in hopes that it would boost his crop yields. Clarify. To make or become clear or easy to understand. If it is unclear, call customer service to clarify exactly how much you'll be charged. Because the concept was unclear, I had to continually ask him to clarify and repeat what he was saying. Exploit. To use something unfairly for your own advantage. By hiding her money in a foreign bank, Meghan hopes to exploit the country's low tax rates. Fuel suppliers will exploit the national oil shortage by raising prices to increase their bottom lines. Implement. The act of putting a plan into action or to use something. The government promised to implement a new system to control financial loan institutions. It is going to cost a great deal of money to implement the renovations to the National Monument. Motivate. To influence someone's behavior in a particular way. Not only do sponsorships generate money, but they can motivate players as well. Tracking your progress by writing down what you've accomplished serves to motivate and encourage. Amalgamate. To combine or unite to form one structure. Because of budget cuts, the two schools were forced to amalgamate into one building. The two churches will amalgamate their fundraisers in order to raise more money as a group. Regulate. To govern or direct according to rule. The apple pectin helps to regulate the digestive system and to metabolize fatty acids. As we get older, the temperature-regulating mechanisms in the body become less efficient. Convey. To communicate ideas or feelings indirectly. Words alone cannot convey the untold misery endured by people in these refugee camps. When my husband wears his red tie, he is trying to convey an image of power and confidence. Empower. To give official authority or legal power. The only people who can empower others are people who can easily give up power. Our ultimate ambition is to empower and enable people through educational achievement. Contribute. To contribute money or resources to something. We were asked to contribute to a newspaper article making predictions for the new year. We're trying to raise money for a new school, and we're hoping that everyone will contribute. Ascribe. Believe or say that something is caused by something else. Many people ascribe their religious beliefs to their upbringing or personal experiences. It is unfair to ascribe someone's intelligence or abilities based on their race or gender. Coerce. To persuade someone forcefully. If someone tries to coerce you into committing a crime, you should immediately call the police. As the students argued, the teacher tried to coerce them into silence with the threat of detention. Condone. To accept or allow morally wrong behavior. The boss will condone your flashy outfit today given that you never wear it to work again. Children will think it is acceptable to call other people names if parents condone this behavior. Abridge. To shorten a text without losing the sense. The book is an abridged account of his experiences in India before independence. The editor-in-chief decided to abridge the feature story to make space for advertisements. Debilitate. To make someone very weak and infirm. The self-defense class taught how to debilitate an attacker in any dangerous situation. A lack of sleep can debilitate your immune system, making you more susceptible to illness. Delineate. To describe or portray something precisely. When work is challenging, take a few minutes to delineate the tasks you need to do. As an artist, Helen can delineate the lines of a person's face using both pencils and paints. Disseminate. To spread information, knowledge, and opinions widely. With encyclopedias in every classroom, we will disseminate a wealth of information to all students. Just because you are having a bad day doesn't mean you should disseminate negative energy onto me. Elucidate. To make something clear, to explain. An interpreter will elucidate the instructions for all non-English speaking guests. After taking a sign language class, I was able to use my hands to elucidate my thoughts. Embellish. To make something more attractive by adding details. Your narrative would be better if you did not embellish it with so many unnecessary details. Dan doesn't trust the news media because he believes that most reports embellish the facts. Implicate. To show someone to be involved in a crime. The witness's statement seemed to implicate towards the defendant's innocence. The lab results implicate a high amount of cholesterol as the cause of my uncle's heart problem. Mollify. To appease the anger or anxiety of someone. Nature reserves were set up around new power stations to mollify local conservationists. Because the writer hoped to get a good review, he made changes in his novel to mollify the critics. Perpetuate. To make something continue indefinitely. The financial oligarchy wants the war to continue to perpetuate their global wealth. The fake images that concern us most are those that are created to perpetuate a lie. Recapitulate. To review or repeat the main points of something. Before we start the discussion, we should first recapitulate a little of last week's lecture. During the interview, the police asked the witness to recapitulate what he saw numerous times. Substantiate. To provide evidence or prove the truth of something. The teacher insisted her students substantiate their thesis statements with historical facts. If Larry cannot substantiate his identity at the airport, he will not be allowed to board the airplane. Corroborate. To confirm or give support to a statement or theory. Upon checking your statement, it has been impossible to corroborate the facts. Dr. Samuelson was glad his partner was willing to corroborate his scientific findings. Depict. To represent something in a picture or other work of art. Balance sheets depict the financial strength of an enterprise at any single point in time. Some nationalists would like to depict the British monarchy as a purely English institution. Reconcile. To restore friendly relations between people or ideas. The teacher in charge of our class had to reconcile disputes among the students. The church split into several sections after the leaders refused to reconcile their differences. Synthesize. To combine a number of things into a coherent whole. Often a single chemical reaction is not sufficient to synthesize a useful end product. Doing science experiments helps kids learn to analyze and synthesize information better. Confess. To admit that someone has done something wrong. Occasionally people confess to crimes they haven't committed just to get attention. During the interview, she finally began to confess the whole truth about the incident. Endure. Remain firm under suffering or misfortune without yielding. They'd never allow their children to have the kind of life or experiences they had to endure. We find that minority governments endure a longer bargaining process than majority governments. Halt. Stop moving or doing something or happening. Is there a real possibility that environmental degradation will halt technological progress? Even protests and petitions could not halt the looming destruction of the historic building. Align. Arrange something in the correct position. To what extent is it possible to align states and nations in the contemporary world? It would also help ministers to ensure that resource allocation was aligned to policy goals. Unleash. To let happen or begin something powerful. Once you have increased your skills, you will be ready to unleash it on the world. The company is intended to unleash more sophisticated financial products in Japan. Deter. To prevent someone from doing something. A good quality alarm that is visible from the outside of the property will deter burglars. Opponents of the death sentence insist that its existence does nothing to deter crime. Affiliate. To become part of a group or organization. It is mandatory for all youth groups to affiliate with the National Youth Agency. The government will not allow the Staff Association to affiliate with outside unions. Orchestrate. To design or organize something. In many cases, the violence has been premeditated and very carefully orchestrated. It seemed unlikely that the terrorist was able to orchestrate such a large-scale crime alone. Evolve. To develop by gradual changes. The company continues to evolve, and every new product they offer is in high demand. The changing environment encouraged the new flowering plants to evolve very quickly. Intimidate. Frighten someone to make them do something. Attempts to intimidate people into voting for the leading party did not work. Because Jim often attempts to intimidate younger children, he is considered a bully. Outweigh. To be more significant in value or importance. Yet we figured that the profits would outweigh the costs over the course of a season. We need to consider whether the disadvantages of the plan outweigh the advantages. Fabricate. Make up information that is not true. The spy has fabricated a new identity to blend into the community and go unnoticed. Many parents fabricate stories about mythical creatures to help their children sleep at night. Camouflage. Disguise the presence of a person or object. The insect has the ideal camouflage because it looks exactly like an unnoticeable brown leaf. Some insects have a natural camouflage that hides them from the attack of their enemies. Prioritize. Treat something as more important than others. Learning to prioritize tasks was vital in order to get work completed throughout the day. The town council hopes to prioritize the bridge construction project at the next meeting. Outlaw. Completely stop something by making it illegal. The student organization was outlawed from the school for violating the code of conduct. The organization is fighting to outlaw the use of genetically modified organisms in agriculture. Summon. Formally call for the presence of someone. Invariably, the workers are terrified at the idea of being summoned before a court of justice. I know that they will summon me to appear in court, which is why I plan on fleeing the country. Dwindle. Reduce gradually in size, amount, or strength. The Bay's octopus population has dwindled in recent years due to overfishing. It would also make extremely efficient use of potentially dwindling uranium supplies. Anticipate. Think that something will probably happen. We need someone who can anticipate and respond to changes in the fashion industry. If we follow the timeline, we anticipate we should have the project completed before August 15th. Reform. Make changes for improvement or development. In order to reform his negative behaviors, his parents placed him in a boarding school. Some economists strongly advocate the reform of government ownership of industry. Inhibit. To prevent something from growing or developing. Too much emphasis on memorizing can inhibit the growth of creative thinking. Mergers between the two firms were not allowed because they would inhibit open competition. Embody. To represent a quality or an idea exactly. The Olympic Games embody the spirit of international cooperation and competition. Ava is a lovely person who embodies all the qualities that a good teacher should have. Promote. To contribute to the growth or prosperity. We should not sacrifice environmental protection to promote economic growth. The aim of the cultural festival is to promote friendship between the two countries. Articulate. The ability to speak fluently and coherently. If you're giving a speech, articulate your key points clearly to captivate your audience. The speaker was able to articulate complex concepts in a way that was easy to understand. Execute. To carry out fully, put completely into effect. The windows allow a computer user to execute multiple programs simultaneously. Your family lawyer can advise you regarding who might be best to execute your will. Renovate. To repair and improve something. Lighting is an essential factor to consider as you remodel, renovate, or build a new kitchen. Because the buyer would need to renovate, he put in an offer for less than the asking price. Exacerbate. To make a bad situation or a problem worse. The proposed factory shutdown would only exacerbate our unemployment problems. If you do not take your medicine, your condition will exacerbate, and you will feel worse. Safeguard. To protect someone or something from harm. The company has appointed a team to safeguard assets during transportation. We have inserted certain provisions into the treaty to safeguard foreign workers. Decipher. Solve a complicated situation or problem. It was beyond the capacity of any human cryptologist to decipher the signals. Much of the spelling was bad and some of the meanings were difficult to decipher. Illuminate. To light something and make it brighter. Hopefully, their investigation will illuminate the police corruption in the small town. The spotlight will illuminate the entertainer so everyone in the audience can see him. Dismantle. To take something apart, or break down. The authorities worried that dismantling the welfare state would increase poverty. He must learn how to dismantle a car engine and put the parts back together just so. Intensify. Make the best or most effective use of a situation. He will intensify the fight against crime and continue to work for welfare reform. Relationships with the global trading and financial systems have continued to intensify. Confront. Deal with a difficult situation or person. Instead of doing nothing, the girl chose to confront those who started a rumor about her. It's an issue we'll have to confront at some point, no matter how unpleasant it is. Retrieve. To find and bring back something. The program allows you to retrieve items quickly by searching under a keyword. The authorities were trying to retrieve weapons left when the army abandoned the island. Conquer. To defeat someone or something. Emma tried to conquer her fear of heights by forcing herself to go skydiving bravely. The woman hoped to conquer her addiction to drugs and stay clean for the rest of her life. Combat. Fight or contest between individuals or groups. The government is spending millions of dollars in its attempt to combat drug abuse. What is the minimum age at which children can engage in armed combat fighting with weapons? Hypnotize. Capture the whole attention of someone. It is commonly known that some individuals are more easily hypnotized than others. The therapist hypnotized him and asked him about his traumatic experiences in the war. Evaluate. To judge something with respect and value. We shall need to evaluate how the new material stands up to wear and tear. All the employees will be evaluated on their performance, attendance, and team skills. Abolish. Officially get rid of a law or system. The Parliament has implemented a new law to abolish the death penalty for murder. The goal of the non-profit organization is to abolish hunger and homelessness in the community. Manifest. The public display of emotion or feeling. The mine workers chose to manifest their dissatisfaction in a series of strikes. This illness can manifest itself at any age, although it is most common in older people. Deal with. To take action in order to achieve something. Her new movie deals with the relationship between a woman and her sick daughter. The sales assistants are trained to deal with customer complaints in a friendly manner. Leverage. Power is used to achieve a desired result. This system will help you to leverage your time so that you get more done. If the United Nations had more troops in the area, it would have greater leverage. Jeopardize. To put something or someone in danger. Recent storms have jeopardized our ability to complete this project on time. If you miss another deadline, you might jeopardize your position in the company. Manipulate. To manage or influence skillfully. The treasurer was arrested for trying to manipulate the company's accounts. This is an interactive museum where children can actively manipulate the exhibits. Invade. Enter a territory forcefully, as an enemy. If the United States should invade now, the Soviet Union will have the right to attack. Preparing to invade the foreign country, warships began to move towards North Korea. Unearth. To uncover or bring to light by search. My personal interest in the subject had led me to unearth a scandalous situation. The archaeologists have unearthed several fossils from the bottom of the river bed. Commence. To start happening or doing something. At that time, it was anticipated that recruitment might commence in late summer. The school year will commence in mid-August and conclude during the last week of May. Persuade. To make someone agree to do something. Insurance companies try to persuade them to cover themselves against illness or death. If your friends try to persuade you to break the law, you should consider making new friends. Revitalize. To make something grow and develop. It was his business to revitalize the old forms with a new and more vigorous content. Congress has tried dozens of approaches to revitalize decaying urban and rural areas. Consent. Give permission for something to happen. Testing patients without their consent would constitute a professional and legal offense. Without customer consent, the representative was not allowed to share information with the caller. Urge. To encourage someone, or support earnestly. I urge my young friends to appear for the exams in a happy and stress-free manner. Publishers urge authors to produce new editions because it helps with the promotion of the title. Hinder. Stop someone or something from making progress. The tone of voice, facial expressions, and bodily postures can help or hinder communication. Landslides and bad weather are continuing to hinder the arrival of relief supplies to the area. Concentrate. Focus all one's attention on a particular activity. This helps you to be aware of time and concentrate your mind on the immediate task. Water companies should concentrate on reducing waste instead of building new reservoirs. Supervise. Observe and direct the work of someone. If you buy one of these toys for a child younger than 6, you need to supervise play. The new director will supervise daily operations and the delivery of workforce programs. Utilize. To use something for a particular purpose. Sound engineers utilize a range of techniques to enhance the quality of the recordings. In some languages, you may be able to utilize material from grammar books for these lists. Materialize. To come into perceptible existence. If you desire to make your dreams materialize, you must take steps to make them real. Because Ken can't raise enough funds, his vision of owning a restaurant may never materialize. Replenish. To make full, or complete again. Don't forget to drink lots of water during your hike to replenish the fluids you've lost. I am a huge spender and currently trying to replenish reserves after a very expensive year. Ambush. Attack someone after hiding and waiting. Fear of ambush prevents the police from going to high-risk mountainous areas. The government was defeated in its attempt to pass the law by an opposition ambush. Overwhelm. Affect someone's emotions in a powerful way. Napoleon's army was robust enough to overwhelm nearly any potential enemy. It was clear that one massive Allied offensive would overwhelm the weakened enemy. Reinforce. To give strong support to an opinion or idea. The study reinforces the idea that music lies at the center of our mental foundations. The delegation hopes to reinforce the idea that human rights are not purely internal matters. Generalize. Make general statements about people or things. We cannot generalize about the effects of the new drugs from one or two cases. It has always been difficult to generalize about China because it's such a huge country. Penetrate. To move into or through something. The spy will try and penetrate the restricted area in order to steal government secrets. The roots of these plants have been known to penetrate to a depth of more than 15 feet. Undertake. To promise that you will do something. We want all our members to undertake this trip responsibly, with their eyes open. The authority has announced that it will undertake a full investigation into the accident. Emphasize. To give special importance to something. I'd just like to emphasize how important it is for people to learn foreign languages. Try to emphasize your main idea so that readers will always know what your opinion is. Optimize. To make the best possible use of something. Optimize your sound exactly the way you like it with this sweet graphic equalizer. If you optimize the production process, you could speed up the assembly line dramatically. Collapse. shrink together abruptly and completely. The government predicted that the market collapse was caused by the Asian financial crisis. It took a wrecking ball as well as explosives to get the sturdy foundation to fully collapse. Venture. To expose to a difficult situation, or risk. That changing climate has pushed some animals to venture south in search of food. Once you have become thoroughly familiar with this, you can venture onto other things. Eradicate. Get rid of something bad completely. It is extremely difficult to eradicate prejudices so deeply rooted and natural. Malignant tumors are often difficult to eradicate because they can spread uncontrollably. Proclaim. Announce something publicly or officially. Even his classic boyish look seemed to proclaim his good humor and openness. Everyone was waiting for the politician to proclaim his intentions of running for president. Fluctuate. Continually change or shift back and forth. The upcoming hurricane season is going to cause the price of gasoline to fluctuate. Because of the increase in ticket prices, attendance at sporting events may fluctuate. Accelerate. Make something happen faster, or greater. Rob should reduce his spending if he wants to accelerate the balance in his savings account. To accelerate the proceedings of the committee, it was decided to meet weekly instead of monthly. Ascend. To move up, or climb something. They move freely from one department to another as they ascend the civil service ladder. Sam was able to ascend the corporate ladder because of his relationships with powerful executives. Concur. Agree with someone or something. The Senate refused to concur in the amendment and the whole measure was lost. While Juan needed money, he did not concur with his friend's choice to rob the elderly couple. Traverse. To move or travel through an area. The settlers had to traverse unsafe lands to reach ground that was suitable for farming. To get to the highest mountain peak in the world, we will have to traverse a very rocky path. Conceal. To withdraw or remove from observation. To conceal his identity from crazy fans, The actor often wears a disguise in public. The killer attempted to conceal the murder by chopping the victim's body into small pieces. Govern. To rule over something with authority. Another defeat in Parliament would seriously weaken the President's ability to govern. Prices of manufactured goods are governed largely by the cost of raw materials and labor. Acknowledge. To accept or admit that something exists. By signing the application form, you acknowledge that you accept all the terms and conditions. The players acknowledged their fans by waving their hands and blowing kisses into the crowd. Shield. Protect from danger or unpleasant situations. My mother uses sunglasses to shield her sensitive eyes from the sun's bright rays. Neither an umbrella nor a raincoat could shield the pedestrian from the torrential downpour. Plummet. To fall very quickly and suddenly. When the housing bubble burst, many people saw their property values plummet. When the economy improves, we can expect to see the unemployment rate plummet. Assemble. To bring together or gather into one place. Lots of people from the neighborhood assemble in the street, across the way, to watch. Within hours of the tragedy happening, an emergency rescue team had been assembled. Accomplish. To do or finish something successfully. Any challenging task you need to accomplish will take more time than you think. On retiring from the Congress, he said he had accomplished everything he set out to do. Eliminate. Completely remove or get rid of something. If you think you may be allergic to a food or drink, eliminate it from your diet. The organization has promised to eliminate cumbersome and unnecessary bureaucracy. Confine. To keep someone or something within limits. The doctor confined the patient to his hospital room so that he wouldn't infect anyone else. I think the range of problems that technology can solve is confined to technological problems. Allocate. Set aside a certain amount of money. The President has agreed to allocate further funds to develop the new submarine. The government plans to allocate a significant amount of money for health education. Disclose. To make something publicly known. It is a matter of company policy that we do not disclose the names of clients. They are not allowed to disclose any information received from the police to a third party. Procrastinate. To delay doing something that you should. Most often we procrastinate when faced with something we do not want to do. They ended up deciding to procrastinate a bit more by looking at past exam questions. Disguise. To change the usual appearance, sound, or taste. Opportunity often comes disguised in the form of misfortune or temporary downfall. Foundations provide the coverage you need to disguise dark spots and under-eye circles. Contemplate. Look at or view with continued attention. That makes it difficult to contemplate the idea that the present policy may not be sustainable. He is rather reckless and rarely stops to contemplate the effects his actions may have upon others. Invigorate. To give life and energy to something. The pay raise that accompanies my job promotion is going to invigorate my personal spending. John knew his workout would invigorate him, so he could start his day with a positive attitude. Advocate. Giving public support, speaks in favor of something. The Food Standards Agency advocated a ban on advertising junk food to children. It's a very emotional issue. How can you advocate selling the ivory from elephants? Mitigate. To make a bad situation less severe. Emergency funds are being provided to help mitigate the effects of the flood disaster. To mitigate your dry skin condition, you should use a quality moisturizer at least 3 times a day. Adhere. To stick or be attached firmly to do something. He urged them to adhere to the values of Islam which defend the dignity of man. Because Johnny did not adhere to the homework directions, he earned a failing grade. Advance. To go or move something forward. This research has done much to advance our understanding of language learning. The country's election commission has advanced the date of the election by 3 days. Standardize. To make all the things of one particular type. The agreement requires states to standardize their tax collection systems. Governor Vizard wants to standardize school spending throughout the state. Resolve. To solve or end a problem or difficulty. His speech did nothing to resolve doubts about the company's future. Legislators are meeting this week to resolve differences in versions of the budget. Maximize. To make it as high or great as possible. In order to maximize profit, the organization would seek to maximize production. The purpose of the restructuring is to maximize opportunities in the global market. Retain. To keep or continue to have something. If we want to retain youthful vigor, we have to exercise on a regular basis. Salespeople have developed novel ways to use the web to reach or retain customers.